right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another installment of the Premier Esports Academy web series. Again, my name is Dan Himmelstein, founder and brain coach of Premier Esports Academy. And with me today, we have Alyson Calman, the other brain coach at Premier Esports Academy. And today we're going to be talking about a very hot topic in not only esports, but in all performance domains, in life in general, and that's confidence. Now, there's a couple different ways that we approach confidence, especially between the two of us, but in general, people approach confidence differently. And I want to preface this video with saying that confidence manifests it differently in everyone, and everyone needs a certain level. There's overconfidence and there's a lack of confidence. Mm-hmm. So it's all about finding that sweet spot, that middle ground, to where you really need to perform optimally. So the way I define confidence, and the very popular definition is, it's the belief in your ability to perform something successfully. So there's a couple ways that we can go about being confident, right? Now, one of the first things I say is competence builds confidence. So when we're going into tournaments, when we're going into matches, when we're playing important games, we have to have the utmost trust in our training. We have to feel that, and Alyson might contradict me on this a little later, but we have to feel that we have done everything that we need to up to this point in time. We've got the right sleep schedule, we've got the right training routines, we hone all the skills that are necessary to be successful during this match. So that can really lead to some great results. There's very few better feelings than feeling confident and feeling like you have all the tools to succeed. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I personally define it. And we're going to talk about some action plans to go about either building it or using this to your advantage. But, I want to get Alyson's perspective on what she feels confidence is and, how she takes it.
So Dan, I think those are some really great points that you bring up. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all on really anything. In fact, I actually agree with you on quite a bit of that, especially the competence builds confidence, that what you've done in the past can really make you feel good going into the future. Mm-hmm. Really kind of how I approach it in that is you have these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, and then on the other side you have your behaviors. And I separate them in that just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean you have to now act a certain way. And that you can feel really good and you can still act in not a good way. So someone might come up to me and say, man, I am not feeling confident going into this match. I'm really worried about how I'm going to perform. And you know what? That's great. You can feel however you want to feel. Obviously, it feels better to have that really high confidence and to feel really good. But regardless, you can still perform in a very confident manner. And whoever is on the outside doesn't have to know how you're feeling on the inside. So, I think we have very similar views, but I think at the same time is that just because I'm having a certain thought or I'm feeling a certain way means that now my behaviors have to very much reflect how I'm feeling.
Yeah, and I think, sorry to interrupt,
No,
I think, that brings up a really interesting example that we probably had both heard back in grad school, and that is, Alyson, have you ever been on a roller coaster?
Absolutely.
Okay. So were you scared to go on that roller coaster first?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, most people are. I was too. But you still went on that roller coaster, right?
Yes.
So this is a prime example of a time where Alyson didn't let her thoughts, feelings, emotions dictate that behavior. Mm-hmm. So she was scared and she still went on the roller coaster. I was not feeling confident and I still performed well. Mm-hmm. So that's that type of attitude, that type of behavior that can be displayed to kind of combat those negative feelings or not so hot feelings.
And can I actually jump in really
Please.
quick with that? I think where we really differ in our thoughts is that just because my thoughts and my emotions and whatever that may be aren't in the best place, I also don't feel as if I have to change them. Mm-hmm. Because I can't really change them. I don't really have that much power to change what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking or anything like that. So I can just roll with that. That's how I'm feeling. Cool. This is how I'm still going to behave. And I'm still going to, excuse my language, kick butt.
I think it's okay to say butt. Most of our viewers, I think, can handle that. But
okay, good.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, it brings me to the other example that I've heard many times, which is, what's easier? Telling you to raise your right hand? boom. If you know your rights and lefts, I'm glad we did the same one because that would have been pretty embarrassing if we didn't. As long as you know your rights and lefts, then you're good to go in terms of making that behavior happen, putting that behavior forward. As to where if I ask you, don't think of a pink elephant, it's pretty likely a lot of us just thought of a pink elephant, so you're welcome for that. But, it does go to say that, like, what's easier to change, those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, or is it easier to just change the behavior and go out there and act confidently? So, we definitely wanted to provide you guys with these two types of outlooks on confidence. And, I really want to drive home the fact that, like I said at the beginning, it's really going to depend on your own personal take and what really works for you. If we were to come in and work with you or your team, we'd get a good gauge at what you really need to either whether we think you really need to feel confident, we can work on ways to boost and build that confidence from the ground up, or, we could say, let's not focus so hard on how you're actually feeling and focus on those behaviors and go forward and perform confidently regardless of how we're feeling. So from there, we want to take you guys through some action plans. We want to give you guys something to take away from this. We don't want you guys just to be able to define confidence because, I'm pretty sure most of you could have done that without this video. So let's go into some action plans. You want to kick us off?
Sure. So one of the ways that we like to give to people to help build their confidence is something called imagery. I'm sure everyone has heard of imagery, no matter if you're a plumber to a neuroscientist or anything like that. Everyone's heard of imagery.
Not that those are inherently different.
No. Anyway, so really what we're honing in on this without going into too much depth is basically imagine yourself performing something successfully. Plain and simple. Imagine yourself performing something successfully time and time again. Build that image into your mind. Let that become the norm. Let that be your basis that you pull up for. So, Dan, here's a question. What happens if I am going into a situation and I've never actually done that thing before? How do I feel confident if it's something brand new? What do you think?
What you really want to do is you want to use all your senses. In terms of, like, if it's a big tournament, like let's call it ESL 1 or, the Worlds, we can watch videos just to get an idea of the crowd, the stadium, things like that, and really get a good understanding of how to apply those types of situations into our imagery and make it as vivid as you can. We'll do a whole video on imagery later on, but we'll give you a little preview. You want to incorporate all 5 senses. You want to really make sure you get the most clear picture that you can. You want to have control over that image. So, if you're thinking about it and all you can think of is 10 people in the crowd, you have to be able to manipulate that image and picture 100,000 in the crowd. And that comes with practice. It's not something that comes overnight. Creating that really vivid, distinct image that is controllable is something that really takes time to practice.
Absolutely. And, really quick is going into a really new, unfamiliar, and could be overwhelming situation. We're not expecting perfection. We're never really expecting perfection. One of the examples that we were given in grad school is, how do I prep when I walk through the doors of the opening ceremonies in the Olympics? And honestly, there's no real way to get you fully comfortable with that. However, you can still imagine things and practice things that at least build your confidence so that you can be at a higher level of confidence going into an unknown situation rather than just saying, well, I guess I'll just do my best.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first action plan, working with imagery to help make sure that you're preparing yourself and your brain for these types of situations. Another one that I like to get all my gamers, all the people that I've worked with, all the performers that I work with, I try and get them to start journaling. And journaling typically includes, at the very least, what went well, what didn't go so well, and what are we going to do to improve for next time. Now, when we're talking about building confidence, I think one of the things that we really want to focus on is what went well, what goals were accomplished this week. And journaling comes after every training session. It comes after every game, scrim, and tournament. There's always something to write down about what went well, building that self-reflection piece. So on game day, let's say we're not feeling so hot. We're not really feeling confident or as confident as we'd like to feel. We can look back at that journal that we keep in our back pocket and say, well, Monday my accuracy was 60%. My shot calling was a 9 out of 10 on Tuesday. My positioning on Wednesday was 9 out of 10 throughout all my scrims. I can look at that on game day and be like, whoa, I did this, and this awesome this week. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to carry that into this tournament during game time, during our time to perform. So that's another really cool thing that we can do to help build confidence over time. And when we're in that moment, if we're not feeling the most confident, we can come back, try and reset our thoughts, and get on that confidence track. So those are the first 2 action plans. We have imagery, and then we have journaling. The third is something that I've been toying around with a little bit in terms of, getting to know what it feels like to act confidently. So this is kind of an activity. I want you to go out, pull your little brother or sister aside, whoever that may be, someone that you can beat, someone that you're absolutely just going to blow away, and as much as they hate it, they're going to help you out. So we want you to go and play someone that you'll beat, and then look back at what it felt like to be really confident, to know you're going to go in and beat someone, to how did you behave, what kind of behaviors were displayed when you knew you were going to go in and beat someone. Is it a more aggressive play style? Is it a little more reserved, waiting for them? What do you really play well? What kind of play style works for you when you're feeling confident? So those are going to be our 3 action plans today. So we gave you a little rundown of what confidence looks like in a couple different aspects. But in reality, we want to hear from you guys. So make sure you're shouting us out. Email me, write me, complain on my Twitter. My handle's right there for you on the bottom right. It's going to be at @dhims_esports. Because like I said, this manifests differently in everyone. We want to hear your techniques that you use to build confidence. Do you think you need confidence? And what are some ways that you build confidence? So, with that, feel free to check out Alyson's LinkedIn, argue with her too. We have a great time doing it. Her link to LinkedIn is going to be in the description. You like that? Link to LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good, right? That's going to be in the description down below. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to hear your feedback and some future topics that you guys would like to hear.
Absolutely.
So reach out to us.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having us, guys.